Do you ever just look around at your house and observe all of the different shapes, sizes, and types of objects? Round, tall, rigid, colorful? It's fun to look around to see what objects you can draw, especially if you've got nothing to do. But I know that it can get scary sometimes to attempt to draw 3D objects, especially if they're objects with a lot of details. So as we begin our art classes this year, it's good to start from the basics to get you guys going and more confident with drawing. Remember, art is not a competition, it's expression and communication. Make sure to get your materials ready before we start drawing. You'll need a drawing pencil, any brand, and any drawing pencil type. Like any number from 2B to 6B will be perfect. An eraser in case you make any mistakes and want to clean up your paper. And of course, your sketch pad. Oh, and keep a sharpener handy too. Ready na ba? Ready? Okay! As we learn to draw 3D objects, we need to get this straight first. Remember that 3D means three-dimensional, and that means that an object has a form. So it has more than one side, and it's definitely not flat. So let's practice drawing 3D shapes first. The 3D shape of a triangle is a pyramid. We start by drawing a triangle first, like this. And then, to make it look like the pyramid has another side, draw another triangle like this, angled like it's getting smaller at the back. As simple as that, you've got your first 3D shape. Similar to a pyramid, you can also make a cone, except the cone is like a flat circle at the bottom, like this. Now let's go to something with more sides, like a cube. Start by drawing a square first, and then drawing another square behind it, and a little to the side, and then connect the two squares with lines like this. And now you've got a cube, a transparent cube too. You do a similar thing to draw a rectangular box, except of course, a rectangle is longer than a square. Okay, question. How will we draw a sphere if it looks exactly like when we draw a circle? Here's an idea. Shading. Maybe you've tried shading before. Shading is adding light and dark areas to an object to see where its shadow is and where its highlight is. It also makes objects look more 3D when you draw them. So before we try doing shading on the sphere, let's look at how we can see shading in an object. Here's a perfect yellow toy ball. And now, let there be light! You can see that the light is shining here. So the light area is here. And the dark area is opposite of where the light is shining, which is here. This makes the ball look much more 3D than if there wasn't any shading. Before we go back to our sphere, let's make sure you know how to shade. Adding shading is basically creating a dark to light area. So go from one side to another, making one side darker and then going lighter on the other side. Kind of like this. Make sure you add pressure on the paper to make the dark area super dark, and then go lighter and put less pressure as you get lighter. The goal is to get it to blend smoothly from dark to light. You can also try blending it better by taking your finger and dragging it across your shading like this. This will also create a smoky effect. Now let's go back to our sphere. And there are your 3D shapes. Look at how our shapes transform from 2-dimensional or flat to 3-dimensional, and then 3-dimensional with shading. The difference is crazy. The same will work with more complicated objects. Let's take a mini Squirtle here, for example. Mind if we draw you for a bit, Squirtle? Yeah, I'll take that as a yes. Some tips when you're drawing more complicated objects like this is starting out with the basics, like what we did earlier. Step 1. Draw basic shapes as a guide first. An oval for the head, circle for the body, long ovals or rectangles for the arms. Make sure to do it lightly since this is only a guide. Then step 2. Make darker lines on your sketch to copy the object. You can also start adding other parts here like the eyes, lines, etc. Step 3. Shading. If you're copying an object, it might help to shine a light on it so you can tell exactly where you want to put the shading. And finally, step 4, final details. Add any tiny details that will make the object come to life even more. If you continue practicing like this, you'll be able to draw even more complex objects later on. Always start with the basic shapes first, shading, then details. Shapes, shading, details. Shapes, shading, details.